Great. Welcome everybody to this webinar. As the title indicates, Teams and Trees Grow Together. And this is a webinar brought to you by Life Terra around the team building activity to plant trees and help combat climate change. So how that is going to happen and how that can work, we're going to hear in the next half an hour or so from the three presenters that we have lined up for you. But before we go over to them, I'd like to briefly explain to you how this works. My name is Luc Mulling. I'm the moderator of today. And we have an interactive session. So you have different ways to interact with us. If you join this session live, you can write your questions at any time. And we will be answering them at the end. So you can do that through the panel called questions at the right bottom. There you can write them. And as mentioned, we will try to answer them. If we cannot answer them still in the session, don't worry. We are also recording this and we can come back to you later. What else do we have? We also have a polling. We already opened up 2 polling questions, quick, brief questions for you, just to get to know you a little bit. For example, to know if your company is already taking climate action and have a sustainability policy, or if you already planted a tree yourself. There will be some other polling questions later on that will open up. And last but not least, of course, we also have a chat where you can let us know where you're from, just to say hi. And I see already people doing that. So great to see, and already a great variety of countries joining in. Perfect. And also, not to forget, we have emoticons. So at the bottom of the screen, you can see a React button, and there you can click on, and you can then give a thumbs up or some feedback basically to the audience. Exactly, that's the one. Just to voice a little bit of that feedback and make it even more interactive for the presenters. All right, now mentioning the presenters, let's go over and introduce them because we're very glad to have with us these 3 speakers. First of all, Claudie Tebome, she's with us and she is the corporate responsibility and sustainability leader at EY in the Netherlands. Hello, Claudie.
Hello, nice to be here at this Life Terra event and share some of our experiences.
Yes, we're going to hear from you in just a minute because we'll start with you. And after that, we will go over to Crystal Augsburg, who's with us. She's the head of social impact at Typeform in Barcelona. Hello, Crystal.
Hey, nice to meet you, everyone.
Thanks for joining. Thanks a lot. And last but not least, we're going to hear from Life Terra, where we have with us the director, Limor Noach. She's introducing and she will be with us later.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining today.
Perfect. Well, thanks a lot. As you can see, 3 great speakers lined up. I personally can't wait to hear from them how this team building activity has been for them. But let's have a look at it already because EY already had a team building event and we're going to show you a little video on that. So go ahead. And
very happy today to be here today with all the EY colleagues planting trees, learning about climate action, biodiversity and contributing to our carbon ambition.
I think it's important to contribute to the environment.
I joined to have a fun activity, also meet new people. I just met her this morning and we both work on the same floor in Amsterdam, but I've never met her before.
We're traveling a lot for work and we are a lot in airplanes, and by planting a tree we do something back for the environment.
It's great to be here together with the colleagues to do something really else and something which is good for the future.
I think we're sitting inside a lot and it just feels good to go outside into nature and to do something back.
Excited to come back, follow our QR code, and in 30 years time we'll find trees that are maybe our size by then, who knows.
Aside from it, of course, being a fun activity, achieving some of the SDGs that we have set on European level.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Okay, we're going to start off with the presentation from EY whilst we're getting the slides up. And we're going to start. Sorry, there's no slides.
No slides.
So we're gonna,
I'll just.
my bad. Here we go.
Yes, I'll tell a little bit. Yes, you've just seen in the video that we really made it work and started planting trees. But let me give you some background on why we do this and why we decided to join forces with Life Terra and how we made this happen. As EY, we've set an ambitious science-based target to become net zero in 2025. We've all kind of measures to reach that, to reduce our business travel mainly. But at the same time, we also have a worldwide community investment program called EY Ripples. You saw this just in the video. And with this program, we aim to impact 1 billion lives by 2030. And one of the pillars under the program is accelerating environmental sustainability. And we have various activities where related to accelerating environmental sustainability, aiming at driving adoption of behavior, to take climate action to protect and to regenerate the environment. So when exactly a year ago, one of my colleagues came to me and said, I know a very nice organization, Life Terra. They have this mission to plant trees, but not only professionally plant trees, but to do this together with families, friends, colleagues. Is this something for EY? And then I thought, it's actually a great idea to bring this carbon ambition that we have to life, to inspire colleagues to take climate action, but also to give back to society and to nature. And then the talking starts. You can imagine an organization with 5,000 people here in the Netherlands, a lot of talking, a lot of how can we do it and budget. So then we discussed with Life Terra, let's just do it. Let's just start with a pilot and get the experience. So just at the end of the planting season in April last year, I collected 15 enthusiastic colleagues to go out in the field and try what is the experience. And these responses from colleagues were really, really positive. They all said, oh, I would recommend this, to do this again with colleagues. It's fun, it's outdoors, it's team building, meeting colleagues, going outside the office when you're forced to be behind your computer, but also to contribute to nature, to society. And then based on this experience, I included a budget to plant 5,000 trees in my corporate responsibility plan. And it was 5,000 trees, which is 1 tree for every employee here in the Netherlands. And then in November, as you could see, we had this first session to plant with 70 colleagues. And actually, again, it really showed that a tree planting event is actually so much more than only going out for tree planting. It was really a platform to inspire colleagues, kind of being out in the nature to really physically work, made people think about climate change, also about biodiversity, to learn about trees and to kind of reflect, what can I do myself? What can I do in my personal life, within EY, with our clients? And we saw that actually a lot of colleagues after this started sustainability-related trainings, joined a climate action workshop, and joined our sustainable business community. But we should also not forget the kind of people element in this. How important it is in these times, these COVID times, being at home, that you can meet your team again and do something together, but also meet new colleagues and even colleagues that you kind of work on the same floor, as they said. It was really fun to see this energy between people. Now, after this experience, we of course try to continue the ripple effect. Build on the collaboration that we've started in the Netherlands. Colleagues in the rest of the EMEA region learned about it, and we've recently embedded this a tree planting pledge in an important EMEA leadership event, and now we're expanding it to other colleagues in the EMEA region, and working with Life Terra now also to see how we can even engage more of our countries, also add maybe more of the learning element, to see how can we go beyond this momentum. People are really inspired. How can you kind of take this kind of continue this sense of urgency? And nice to see that our colleagues in Belgium are this Saturday going to plant trees as well. And one of my colleagues, if you talk about ripple effect, brought it to her family and started also a cooperation with Life Terra. And this week, somewhere in the province of Zeeland, they started planting as well. In the week of 7 March, we have already now 300 colleagues registered during 3 days to go out again. And you see how from kind of one event to the other, people hear about it, people want to go out and say, let's do it, let's join together with our team. So a great success. Some colleagues even found additional budget themselves next to the budget that I had reserved. So very happy to see this. If you, after hearing this story, also would like to get this experience and which might help you to convince your leadership to make also budget available. On Tuesday, 8 March, we have a few spots left during the planting event. So we're welcoming a few guests if someone's interested. And just let it Life Terra or me know, and then we see how we can arrange this.
Great. Thanks a lot, Claudie. That is good to hear. And do with this invitation that you just mentioned, get in touch. You can write in chat or afterwards. We can get in touch with you if you're interested. Quick question for you, Claudie. In terms of EY's goal when it comes to CO2, can you say something about this and maybe overall the sustainability approach?
Yes, we have our net zero ambition, which means that we will aligned with this science-based target initiative, reduce our emissions. And for us, it really means reducing our travels, our business travel. So it means less flying, less traveling. And on the other hand, we have to our buildings, the energy that we use in the buildings will be renewable energy. But part of the plan is also to kind of invest in these kind of initiatives and to work with our clients. But of course, as EY, we're a consulting company. We're not producing. We're taking our responsibilities to set goals for ourselves. But most important is also that we help and challenge our clients to reduce the emission. So that's an important part of our approach.
Great. Thanks a lot. Great to hear that. Also, in terms of, you mentioned the planting events, and there's one more coming up. How do you engage employees? How do you get them involved? Is there something you can say about this? How, with your experience?
Events like this, of course, we send a lot of, you send whatever, news messages, emails, and people pick up on that. We give trainings, but I really see that having real activities like this with Life Terra, and we also recently watched with a small group, watched the movie. This helps because people really need to be kind of inspired, and giving them only information is not enough, I see. So to do something helps very much to engage people and to inspire them to take next steps.
Great. Thanks a lot, Claudie, for that insight. Because if there are companies that are joining and wonder about this as well, I hope that helps. And otherwise, do let us know. If you have questions, as mentioned, you can write your questions at any time. By the way, this is for both the live audience and the people watching the recording. You can also write your questions at any time, and we can come back to them later. Okay, so thanks a lot, Claudie, for now. We are going over to the next presenter, as you can see on the screen, Typeform, and we have with us Crystal. Crystal, thanks to go ahead and give us some of the insights with Typeform's experience.
Hey, nice to meet everyone. My name is Crystal and I work at Typeform. Just a quick kind of introduction to Typeform, because we're obviously not as big as EY, but we we were founded about 10 years ago in Barcelona. Since then, we've grown to, I think it's 470 employees as of today, and we're growing exponentially over the next couple of years. Since the pandemic, we are fully remote. We do still have offices in Barcelona and San Francisco, but the entire company is remote, and it's remote first, and we're actually remaining that way. There was a GIF on the slide that showed our product, but I can see it's not really showing. But what we do is the first product we launched 10 years ago was forms and surveys. Since then, we've expanded into also introducing an asynchronous video conversation tool. And our R&D team, which is led by our co-founder David, is constantly looking for new ways to have these kind of asynchronous conversations between brands and their audience. So about a year ago, I transitioned. I've been with Typhoon for 4 years, but about a year ago, I started a new role working with social impact and sustainability. We have 2 focus areas. The first is not shown here, but that's equitable access to tech education. So also a lot about diversity and inclusion. And the second focus area is sustainability and climate action. And this one is a bit more relevant for today, so I'm focusing on this one. Within this focus area, we have 2 main objectives. The first is for Typeform to be a sustainability leader within our weight class. So this is quite focused on how we operate, how we show up in public, how we talk about sustainability and climate change. It's still fairly new. We haven't finalized fully our strategy yet, as that's why you maybe haven't heard us talk so much about it, but we will. The second objective is to empower Typeformers to be climate activists. And we really do this in 2 ways, I would say. The first is education and awareness. And the second is really focused on engaging Typeformers, almost like, how do you say, hands-on, through volunteering especially. And one of the first volunteering events we did was with Life Terra back in, I think it was November. Social impact and sustainability is only like 6 months old really in Typeform. So it's fairly new, but we did a volunteering event. It was actually almost like a pilot to see how people would engage with it. But it was a really big success. And I wanted to share this video with you that I can't seem to play. Luke, can you play it somehow?
All of that was completely burned down. So it was really devastating.
We expect that thanks to these trees being planted today, this biodiversity is going to recover faster.
As well as like helping out, it's a really nice time as well we're all having together here.
I think I'm always happy to help, but sometimes, you know, when you're caught up in the day-to-day, you often forget. So when you have that little trigger, it helps a lot.
We are all getting into individualism and remembering we're part of the community and we can do a lot for it. It's important.
Thanks. So unfortunately, I couldn't join on the day myself because we had to reschedule, so I wasn't able to go. But I received really positive feedback from people about the event. And we'll definitely be doing it more. But I think the feedback kind of came in 5 areas that I wanted to show you, and also kind of show you why I think everyone should both do tree planting, but also just volunteering in general. I think it's important. So I mentioned education and awareness is crucial for us to engage Typeformers, to our employees. And this was really interesting because on the day before you start tree planting, Sven from Life Terra was telling the group a bit about the place or the area in which they were planting, which is also a local area for most of the people going because they live in that area in Barcelona, of course. So they also wanted to know more about it. He talked about the local impact of climate change, why trees are needed, what kind of trees they were planting, and why so many different kind of trees are necessary, and why there's a need for biodiversity. And I think they also got a really good understanding of how much work it actually requires to maintain forests and why they're so fragile. I also saw a lot of people develop a lot of curiosity, both for conservation and climate change, which of course I think is really important because it's one of my key objectives with my role. but also developed more curiosity for volunteering in general. So not everyone, but most of the people who participated in the tree planting day, they were actually more active in volunteering in other areas since then. And so it's created kind of this effect of I don't know the word, but when more starts going, basically. And then there was a really good remote work antidote, and I think we can all recognize this. Like we're behind our screens all day, and just getting out there and doing something that doesn't involve a computer these days is just amazing. So originally I was actually looking a lot into remote volunteering, organizing that for Typhoon, because we are remote and a lot of our colleagues are just not in the same place. So it's hard to do volunteering with your team. But I just realized very quickly, also from feedback from Typeformers, is they actually want to get away from their screens and they want to just go out there and do stuff with their hands, basically. So this idea of getting out of the city, getting your hands dirty, and just putting trees in the ground and seeing that from the start was just, I received great feedback on that. And I think also, which also we saw in EY's video, this idea of seeing people in person and also meeting people that you actually didn't know existed has been really nice, of course, because since we've gone remote, like I used to know most of the people working in Typhoon when we were at the office still, and now I probably don't know half of them because you just don't meet them at the office anymore. So it's nice to be able to go to these events as well, which also is a bit about team building, collaborating with others you don't necessarily work with on a day-to-day basis, but also in a non-work setting. And I also heard that they're developing kind of a competition amongst Typeformers of who could plant more trees more efficiently. So that was really nice to see as well. And I heard we ended up planting 200, which I hear was quite a record. So we're very proud of that as well. And then finally, I see a lot of pride from when we do these volunteering events, when we engage in the conversation about sustainability and climate change, that Typeformers just feel proud to work for Typeform. They're proud to work for an employer who takes this seriously and goes out of the way to give volunteering days. We give 3 days a year to volunteer during work hours. And we for every hour a Typeformer volunteers, we also donate $15 on their behalf to a charity of their choice. So we do a lot to kind of engage this. We're definitely do more. I think it had a great effect, both on like employee engagement, but also just people in general just really love it. So we'll definitely do more. We're planning at the moment to do more of global volunteer days. I would say the first Life Terra event was a bit of a pilot in a way to see if it worked. We'll next time what we'll probably do, because we are kind of spread around the world, we would organize similar events, but in all the major hubs. And instead of me organizing all of them, the idea is to get Typeformers to get involved as well. And we also recognize that you can't necessarily go tree planting everywhere, or there might not be budget for it. So we'll have days, for instance, where maybe people will plant trees in Barcelona, they will clean the beach in Valencia, or in Berlin, they will go clean a forest, or in the US, participate, for instance, in a community garden. So just really get Typeformers out there and also do something good for nature and for the environment in general. Thanks.
Perfect. Great, thanks for that, Crystal. And also I had a question for you. I'd like to know a bit how Typeform chose to collaborate with Life Terra, and basically how and how did it start, and why did you choose Life Terra?
So we basically, since we started focusing on sustainability and climate change, a colleague of mine is in a relationship with one of the people working in Life Terra, and he of course knows all the great work that they do. And so I talked to him, and he referred me, and I had a talk with Life Terra, and I just thought it was just a really good idea. I wanted to organize more of these kind of events to get people out there, and it just seemed a good option. They were in Barcelona. It was a nice size. It's something that I think was really, like I mentioned, it was nice for people to get away from their computers and get into nature, and at the same time doing something good for the environment, planting trees. And it was just so well aligned with how I saw the strategy for sustainability and climate change in Typeform. And yeah, so that was it, basically.
Okay, great, thank you for that. You already mentioned a lot of the benefits with the employees, that, of course. Maybe also for you, how, in terms of engaging the employees to do so, can you say something about how did you make them enthusiastic about this event, or did it go by itself?
I actually think it went a lot by itself. For this first event, particularly for this event, I shared it, and we have this Spain channel in our Slack, and I posted it there. And I mentioned we had 35 spots, and these spots filled pretty quickly. It took, I think, half a day, and then everyone had signed up basically. And I think for volunteering in general, I do have to drive it a bit. Like, I think sharing opportunities and like, for instance, like now today we're doing tree planting, or here's an opportunity to do team building, or another, like just kind of going down that helps a lot, because it doesn't exactly drive itself. And I know that's the case for most companies when it comes to volunteering. So you do have to kind of drive it a bit and remind people. But I also notice that the more people do, the more they actually are proactive about doing it themselves. So that's what I am trying to do a lot at the moment. I'm still being the driver of volunteering, but my ambition is that it becomes employee driven and not kind of crystal driven down the line.
Okay. Great. Well, that's a good addition to that. Thanks for your insights, Crystal. Very useful, and I hope also to the audience. Before we go over to Life Terra, by the way, just a little, we have a polling up, so it's nice to know already that about half of the people that joined have planted trees themselves already, and also about 75% of the audience says they know that their companies taking climate action and have a sustainability policy. Just a little live fact and polling result already out there. I will open up a couple of more polling questions throughout the next presentation when we go over to Limor. And yeah, I'll let you introduce yourself briefly again, and getting your slides up as well.
Thank you so much, Luke. So my name is Limor Noach. I'm the director of the Lifetree Foundation, and thank you all for joining our webinar today. And thank you, Claudia and Crystal, for sharing the inspiring stories that you just told us and shared with us. And of course, we hope that we can inspire many more companies to join us with those planting events. So I'm just going over a few slides with you to and share with you a little bit more information about Life Terra, who we are, and how these planting events are being organized. We are a foundation with a mission to restore our connection with Earth. And what's very important for us is that we really want to be a movement for people to take impactful climate action. So we want to enable people to plant a tree and to really feel the connection with Earth again. We facilitate tree planting, and we also educate future generations and develop tree monitoring technology. I will tell you a little bit more about that with the later slides. Why trees? Well, planting trees is actually the least expensive and most effective solution to capture carbon. Trees play a very important role in restoring ecosystems and making them biodiverse and also climate resilient. Trees have a positive impact on both physical and mental health. I just saw actually a question coming in on that on the chat during the last presentation. So we know that trees have that impact. So I think that's a very positive and powerful extra benefit for tree planting. And of course, one of the most important things is that tree planting can be done now. Everyone can get involved and come out to our tree planting events and contribute themselves to do something about the climate problems that we have around the world. So when you plant trees with Life Terra, it actually enables you to engage in those local planting events with your team. And I think that's one of our very unique selling points. It's not just about planting trees somewhere remote, having it done by someone else. No, you will actually get your hands dirty with your team and be in the field and plant those trees with your team. You can monitor and track your trees with our technology that we have developed. I will show you a little bit more about that. It will strengthen your brand and business. Of course, it also reduces your carbon footprint, and you will have a relevant contribution to the Sustainable Development Goals, and you will actually create shared value that matters. You will leave a legacy for generations to come. What makes us unique is that we have the expertise and knowledge to plant the right tree in the right place. And of course, that's very important. We're not about just planting as many trees as possible. We really want to do it in the right way. So we always plant multiple species, at least 8 different species, to ensure that we plant a biodiverse and climate resilient forest for generations to come. Each tree that we plant is being monitored by a unique tracking system. So each tree is being tagged. As you see in the picture on the right hand side, you can tag and register your own tree, and you will get the geolocation of that tree. And as a company, you will also get a company dashboard. I will show an example of that later on, where every tree is being monitored. We have also developed a fantastic educational pack for children, the age of 8 to 14. Our aim with that pack is to educate future generations on sustainability and climate change, and to really actively involve children in planting trees. And we offer that for free to schools. And of course, by planting trees, you actually impact the society at large, and you help build communities. So we have a strong pact. We work with a consortium of 16 different partners from 8 different EU countries, and together we bring the expertise and knowledge that we have on implementation, technology, education, and communication. And I think that's unique about Life Terra, that we have all these fantastic partners that enables us to make a very powerful impact. Our project is being approved and supported by the European Commission through the LIFE program. So, get involved. How to get involved? Well, you can see how enthusiastic our team is to welcome you and plant trees with us. How does it work? Well, we take care of securing planting sites. We are in close contact with municipalities, with provinces, and estate managers throughout Europe. And ideally, we try to find a location not too far from where your organization is located. We provide the trees and logistics, as well as the tools necessary to plant the trees. A professional planter of Life Terra will guide the event. So, for instance, we will share knowledge on a specific location. We will share knowledge on why we plant here, and what specific species are we planting here today, and why are we planting those species. Of course, we will also show you how to plant a tree and guide you through the whole event. Your team will get their hands dirty while making a meaningful contribution to ecosystem restoration. And of course, also your company will gain access to a personalized dashboard, which I will show you an example in a moment. On a very practical note, we organize these team planting events, starting with a commitment to plant at least 1,000 trees. And the planting season, we are depending on the planting season. So we plant trees from about November till March. It depends a little bit on where you're located, in which country you're located. But just for everybody to understand that it is an event that is only possible to execute within the planting season. I see that my pictures are not really loading well. So, but to give you an example on how you can further green your company, you can gift trees, of course, to your employees, maybe as a welcome gift for new colleagues, to really also symbolically grow together and develop together. Birthday gifts, Christmas gifts. You can also, of course, give trees to your customers. We actually have a great example of another company that doubles each tree donated by its customers, and which is, of course, a wonderful example of cost-related marketing. Also for business relations, this is a very symbolic gift. It is a gift that really matters, and symbolically will grow your relationships with your partners together. And we even had companies that organize planting events with us for their business relations, and it gives them the opportunity to invite their suppliers and their business partners and to connect with them on a different level and have a different kind of conversation in the field that you would have normally on the floor. Of course, you can organize team building planting events. EY and Typeform have told you more about what that meant for their organizations. And we know that it can be a very powerful tool for that. And it can also, of course, have that learning element inside. EY told us about the Terra leaders that they have developed. So you can actually have colleagues develop themselves to become a Terra leader in order to green local communities. And you can actually also enlarge your impact by activating your employees. So it is actually the snowball effect that we are looking for. You can compensate your employees' carbon footprint, and I'm sure that you might come up with other ideas to green your company together with Life Terra. Feel free to discuss that with us also on one-on-one meetings after this webinar. So this is an example that I wanted to share with you of a company dashboard. This is the company dashboard of Typeform. So as you can see, all the trees that they have planted together with us are in this company dashboard. You can actually click on each tree and see where they're located. And when you see the picture on the right-hand side, on the right-hand bottom side, you can actually click on every tree and see what kind of species it is, when it has been planted, and where it exactly is located. And you can share this with others. So people that actually take part of the planting events, they can tag their own trees, make a picture of them in the field, and they will have them in their personal dashboard, but they will also be loaded to the company dashboard. So it makes it very tangible and very concrete what trees have been planted and what your impact is at large. These are just some of the partners that we have been planting with. Of course, we hope to welcome your organization onto this slide as well in the near future. And we hope that you'll come out to plant with us and join forces to green the planet. Thank you so much. Oh. Luke, I cannot hear you.
On mute, so thank you,
sorry.
Limor.
Yes, I can hear you
for
now.
your presentation. Yes, and I was just mentioning that I saw a partner, another partner that you had on your slide, Avans University. I just had to mention we worked with them in another webinar, and I know some universities are joining as well. So if you're looking at this type of activity, or even for students, to get involved, or as a graduation gift, we can help you in the right direction as well. Okay.
Yeah, it's nice that you're mentioning that, Luke, because it's actually maybe nice also to mention here how symbolic that was for Avans University, that they are planting a tree for every graduate symbolically, because that tree will keep developing together with the graduates.
Great, good to hear. So yes, we are now going to the questions that we got from the audience. So as we saw, we have a lot of people from different countries joining in. And we had a question from Ilse asking, are the sites accessible to the general public after planting? I assume that's for you, Limor.
Well, yes. Well, not always. It really depends on the site. So we always look for those sites together with estate managers, with municipalities, and with provinces. And sometimes sites are accessible, but I have to say that in many cases they are not. You can still have a look at the trees from a distance, but as you might imagine, it's also not really a good idea often for the site to be accessible, because the trees are very, very little when we plant them. And when people start walking around, a lot of them might be damaged. So you can see them from a distance, but we don't really recommend to walk throughout the trees in the first years.
Okay. Thank you. And next question from Sandra, and she's asking, when is the planting season, or can it be all year around?
Yeah, so the planting season is between more or less November and March. It really depends on the countries. In some countries like Greece, it can be even a little bit later. And also when we have a very, very wet spring, sometimes we can even plant in April. But more or less, it's between November and March.
Yeah, I see that's been answered by your colleague as well in the chat. So now also for the public, for everyone to know. Next question we received from Anna. How many species are usually planted?
So we're very keen on planting a biodiverse and healthy forest, and to make it a very sustainable and climate resilient forest. So we usually plant at least 8 different species. And we do this together with the landowner. So we discuss together with the landowner what species they want on their land. And then we look into the right combination of species, and we use the expertise of our partners to determine what species can best be planted on that specific location.
Okay, thank you. It's good to hear. And Joanna is asking, in which countries is Life Terra active?
So we are active in, already now we have planting events taking place in Spain, in the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, Italy, Greece, France and Portugal. We actually are going to have our first planting events also in the UK and in Ireland. So I dare to say we are active throughout Europe. So please contact us for specific questions. We plant in all these countries that I just mentioned. We are already active there, but we do have planting partners in other EU countries as well. So we're not limiting ourselves to these countries only.
Okay. Thanks a lot. And just to mention, if you are watching the recording, you can still write your questions. We will be capturing them and sending them off to Life Terra so they can come back to you probably by email. So do take advantage and still write your questions. Also, we have opened up the polling questions. So where we already asked about sustainability goals, if you planted a tree, and also if you are what else did we ask? If you want to plant trees with your colleagues. So let us know. It would be great to hear. I see actually 90% said yes. So already, so that's a great result already so far. Next question that we received is from Lucas, asking a question for EY. So Claudie, will you do this more often and also involve other countries?
That's definitely a yes. And actually, that's also one of the reasons why we joined forces with Life Terra, because there are a lot of other organizations that are much more local. And we thought, as we have this globally organized community investment program, it's also nice that in other countries we can also work with Life Terra. And we had this tree pledging included in my leadership event, which we have now a lot of trees that we're going to plant, partly professionally, but also with other colleagues. And Belgium colleagues are going ahead on Saturday. And it also creates kind of a bond. When I talk to my peers kind of in the other countries, they're like, oh, you're going to do this as well with your colleagues. So it's really kind of, spreading the word across Europe helps, I think, to engage more people.
Great. Thanks a lot. That's great to hear, because that is the idea, of course. This you mentioned the ripple effect, so that's also going then to other offices, countries, and other people possibly going to other companies as well. Next question from Ilse: are the trees meant to stay indefinitely until age of maturity, or is there a limitation, like a lease period in time, and harvested, for example, in 20 years of age?
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting question. So we actually have agreements with the landowners where we plant, and we agree with the landowners that they have to leave the trees there for at least 40 years. And then in time, we're not against harvesting per se, but in most of the cases, the trees will be replanted on that locations. So the trees will be there for at least 40 years. And that's also the time that it takes for them to grow, mature, and to really capture the carbon. So 40 years is, I think, a very natural cycle for the trees to be there for at least 40 years.
Great, thank you very much. I just noticed that in the chat there was another couple of questions. Natalie was asking there, first of all, mentioning that it's very inspiring, just to transmit that as well. great. Thank you, Natalie. Do you think that these type of activities can help to lower employee turnover, improve mental health, etc.? Well, this can be answered by maybe best the companies themselves. I don't know, Crystal, what can you say? You mentioned the benefits already, employee turnover, mental health, or general health. Can you say something about that?
I mean, we definitely know that participating in this kind of stuff does help with employee turnover. I think it was Zendesk who did a study, and they actually saw that companies who have a positive impact, they have 4.5 times employee retention. So I definitely think there's a good business case for having a positive impact as a company, not just being all about profit, but also engaging your employees. I also remember a statistic about, I think it was 40% of US employees are currently reconsidering their job or leaving, considering leaving their employer because their employer isn't doing enough for social justice and for the environment. So I think like the statistics speaks for themselves, and I think it's important we start doing it as companies. From our side, from Typeform side, it wasn't only because it was the right thing to do, because we wanted to, but also because it's a good business case. Like you just get more engaged employees give more to the business, they stay longer. It's I think we've seen a very solid, how do you say, a solid business case is basically for why all companies should do this. So that definitely speaks for itself. But I also think I've seen more an anecdotal basis in Typeform that people who participate in this, they're super engaged and motivated afterwards. And they've told me specifically after participating in the tree planting or some of the pro bono work we do, or some of the smaller volunteering things we do, fundraising, that they just feel more motivated and they feel more proud to work for Typeform. So, and then in terms of mental health, I definitely think so. I think nature is the best way to kind of keep a mental health balance. And I live in the center of Barcelona. A lot of my colleagues live in cities as well. So I think getting out there in nature and just touching trees, or nature or whatever, getting in touch with it physically, I think it's so crucial, especially these days with the pandemic and everything going on, just getting back to our roots a little bit. So I would say yes.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that, Crystal. And next question from Aina. How much C is compensated with a tree? And do the companies receive carbon credits in exchange for planting? Any more?
Yeah, so we calculate with an average because we plant throughout the whole Europe with different species. So you can imagine that some trees will capture more carbon than others. So we calculate with an average of every 1,000 trees capturing about 200 tons of CO2 over 40 years. And we do give out a certificate that you can use for internal communication. But of course, this is not an official tradable certificate. So yes, you can, if you want, you can also calculate the footprint that you have, or we even had a company that wanted to compensate the carbon emission of the footprint of their employees. So we can help calculating how many trees you need to reduce that footprint if you wish.
Okay, great. We're getting thumbs up. So that's great feedback. Question from Jules asking, we have a location in Hong Kong and New York. Is it possible to plant trees over there as well? You mentioned the locations earlier on, but I don't know if it's in the plans. Any more?
I do have to say I would not know if we have an active contact there right now. We are focusing on Europe, but we do also have planting partners that are active in the States and also in Asia. So if you're interested, please send us an email and we'll look at opportunities together.
Okay, so hope to hear from you, Jules. And next question from Aina. Have you planted trees on regenerative agroforestry projects?
Yeah, so we do actually all kind of different projects. Regenerative agroforestry, yes. We actually did a project just a couple of weeks ago like that. But we also do all kind of different. So we have, for instance, sites where there have been forest fires where we're planting trees. where we have agricultural land that is being transformed into agroforestry land. We have all kind of different fruit forests that we're planting. So we have different kind of sites, different kind of locations, and different kind of projects. And it also differs, of course, from the location and from the countries that we're at. And we are planting also different species in those projects. So we have all kind of possibilities. So if you have something specific that you really want to explore with us, please let us know so we can tell you more about our experience in that and explore possibilities together.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I think that was the last. No, we have another question that came in. Lorena is asking how to organize a company's volunteering event.
So yes, the first thing I think would be to contact us and to see what your wishes are, and then we will look for a site, hopefully in proximity of where you're located with your company or where your employees live, and then you can enthusiasm your employees to volunteer on that day and come planting with us, and we actually organize the site and the materials and the guidance of the planting event itself. We need a commitment of to plant at least 1,000 trees because of all the efforts we put into it to find sites, etc. And we have to, of course, order the trees, and then we have to make arrangements with the landowners that we are coming there to make a relevant and tangible contribution. And then together with your employees, we will make it into a wonderful event, I'm sure.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I think those were the questions that we received at this stage. And with that, actually, that you mentioned, I will leave you also with a link to the newsletter. So if you want to keep hearing from Life Terra and their actions and maybe, where they are planting trees, and I don't know what else you have in the newsletter anymore. I'm actually subscribed to it, but you can maybe explain that. The link is coming up.
Thank you, Luke. Yeah, so in the newsletter, you can see, you can read more information about our past events, about upcoming events, but also about our planting partners, about planting trees in general, about climate change. So it's a very broad newsletter that's very interesting. You can read more about our educational pack that we have and that we offer for schools. So please do subscribe if you're interested, and please also feel free to contact me at any time. I will share my email in the chat, so you can contact me if you're interested in organizing an event with your team, with your company, and we would love to think along with you and to see if it's a fit and if we can organize great planting events together with you.
Perfect. Great. Thanks a lot. And with that, we're coming to the end of this session. So I don't see any further questions unless we still get a last one in. We can still take it, but we're getting already thank yous from different people. So great to see. Go ahead and you mentioned to share your email, Limor, so you can do that in the chat. And before we leave, just also still before you log out, we would like to hear your feedback. So if you haven't filled out the polling, we appreciate that. I think 4 brief questions that we had for you. So thanks to let us know. And let me see if there was some more question in.
Yes, maybe one last thing that's really nice to mention that Claudie just also shared it in the chat. We have this great planting event with EY on March 8th in the Netherlands in a central location in the country. So if you're interested in joining, please contact us and we'll be happy to welcome you there so you can experience it yourself.
Great. Thank you very much. And with that, I'd like to thank everybody for joining. Of course, the audience, all of you that took your time, both live, recorded, and through our platform, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, everywhere. Thanks for joining in. And of course, the presenters. Without you, this would not have been possible. Limor from Life Terra, but of course also Crystal from Typeform and Cloudy from EY. So thank you very much. And maybe a last word over to you, Limor, before we finish off the session.
Yes, I just really want to thank everybody that joined the webinar. And as you said, a special thank you for Crystal and Claudie for believing in us and coming out with your employees and your colleagues to plant trees with us. And I think it's amazing that we're actually creating something that's here to last for generations to come. And I really hope that we can inspire other companies to do the same in the nearby future. So thanks everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.